Hello, America. Yes, I am transgender, and I'm not your enemy. But you know who is? And before you jump to conclusions, I just want to remind you, we're not the ones carrying torches. We're not the ones wearing khaki slacks. We're not the ones wearing red polos. We're not the ones piling into rented vans. We're not the ones posing with AR-15s. We're not the ones bragging how we can blow up things. We weren't the ones on January 6th. We didn't storm the Capitol. We don't attack police officers. In fact, the most we ever attack is a dance floor. Or maybe a good sale, But, the president, who is clearly insane, wants you to believe that we are somehow violent. I listen to Nine Inch Nails. I think maybe that's the extent of it. But, hey, I'm almost 60 years old, so, not much I can do about it. But, hey, I just want to remind you, you've seen the images. You've seen these angry young white men, with AR-15s shoot up schools and shopping malls or go into neighborhoods. We don't own white robes. We don't burn crosses. We don't do any of these things. So if you're going to believe that man, you're going to listen to that man tell you that somehow because we know who we are, and mind you, I've known since who I am, since 1972. Not a single conservative had anything to say about it back then. Not entirely. Only just because someone is mentioned in the Epstein files. Right? Just remind you, we know who we are. We don't need you to tell us. We're not seeking your approval. In fact, we'd just rather you guys just kind of left us alone. But if you're one of those old school Americans who really believes in what this country is founded for, that everyone's entitled to life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness, that's everybody. My father came to this country and put on this country's uniform and did a tour of duty in a combat zone, and then spent the next 30 years during the Cold War, keep things going, wearing a uniform, and I believe in this country. It's part of me, it still does too, even though it's breaking my heart right now because so many Americans have become so desensitized to what's going on. Some think nothing's going on, or maybe that some of us deserve this. Hey, we've been your neighbors. We might have been your friends, maybe even family. We just want to live our lives. We're not looking to take anything. We're not asking for special privileges or favors. We had the same rights as you until recently. You can't get a passport now. Some of us can't even travel. I can't even board an airplane. And as it is, now they're taking my right to own a gun. And hey, we're all you Second Amendment people. Crickets, Listen, you heard a lot of talk about transgender genocide. Only you guys can prevent it. Real Americans love an underdog. Real Americans, stand up for what's right. What this president is doing is a distraction, and unfortunately, it's also wrong. And a lot of people are not only getting hurt because of his rhetoric, some are even getting killed. And now, he's empowering the Department of Justice and all the counter-terrorism task forces to focus on us. Not the guys with the AR-15s, not the guys with the bombs, not the guys that place, G.I. Joe on the weekends up in the forest, not the guys that wear Camp Auschwitz t-shirts or say their oath never ends, whatever, not the guys you jump in the back of trucks with big plastic shields that have a little electric charges or drive 300 miles to hit somebody with paint guns. We're not those people. We just want to live our lives, all right? So, don't believe the record. There's no such thing as a trans-violent extremist. This is the demented fantasy of a man who has syphilis, a man who like to take little girls and kind of force them to do this kind of thing, If you're gonna believe that nonsense, maybe he's got some cell phones to sell you, or a passport with his picture on it, I don't know. how much nonsense are you going to tolerate? Really, you don't have to like us, you don't have to love us, but you should respect the fact that we are your fellow Americans, and to allow this kind of nonsense to take place, well, that makes you complicit. Don't be those Germans who had to answer to the American army back in 1945, why they claimed, how they could say that as they're wiping the human ash off their shoulders, that they didn't know. Oh, you know, it's happening all around you. And this president is stepping up the rhetoric. And he's encouraging every hateful person out there to come out of every little rock. Every single cockroach is out in the open now, emboldened, and looking for people like me. It's been more than one death up there at University of Washington. And, you know, it's just really sad and tragic. But worse, these people are also making videos of their own, and they're even staging them, pretending to be us and trying to paint themselves as the good guys, like they're doing something right. Now, this is all fucking misogyny, patriarchy at its worst, and the rants of deranged people that can't stop obsessing with genitalia or people's sex lives. People have nothing to do with them. It's crazy, you know. I would like to live in a world where people respect each other, like each other, but treat people, when I was a kid, me Generation X, we were raised with this idea called the golden rule, it's like, treat people how you want to be treated. So think about it before you jump in on like, yeah, these trans people, they don't deserve anything, they deserve to die, they deserve that, all this stuff. And ask yourself, what if you were that trans person? Think about it for a second. All of a sudden, let's just say, someone decided to come in and say, you can't have that beard, you can't have that truck, you can't play football, you can't do all these things that identify you as maybe a man, maybe, or someone telling a woman, you can't wear slacks anymore, you have to have long hair now, you must wear makeup, or someone, we're Americans, we don't like being told what to do, especially my generation. We definitely don't like to. We were raised on punk rock. Henry Rollins and Joe Strummer, pretty much prepared us for this era. We just didn't think it'd ever come to this, So, again, just remember, you didn't see any of us carrying torches. We're not leading march-like processions. We don't parade around like we're the goddamn SS. We are not Nazis. We don't lynch black people. In fact, we don't, go after Jewish people. We don't do any of these things. We are not making bombs. We're not making threats. We're not out there with a flag going, pointing up to the sky and saying something in, another language. Whatever, that's not who we are. We're just people trying to live our lives, And right now we are seriously under threat. This guy wants to convince you that we're the greatest threat ever. Now, ask yourself, especially if you're a big, tough guy, do I look like I'm a threat to you? And if so, seriously, you need to evaluate who you are. The problem is yours, not mine. Okay, but please don't make it mine, okay? Listen, this is my one and only time I'm going to try to reason with other Americans who may not necessarily support us. We're not asking for handouts. We're not asking for you to do something special for us. Just treat people like how you want to be treated. And really give some consideration. When you hear this nonsense coming from a 34-time convicted felon, convicted for fraud, sell you lies, like he was trying to sell some people some cell phones. Just people kind of want their money back and not going to get it. The very same man who raised a pair of sniveling rats to rob children who were battling cancer and rob veterans. And one scam, the very same man who not only is an adjudicated rapist, but actually founded a university for its sole business model was to defraud its own students. It got shut down. Remember, always check the source. Don't buy into the, oh, it must be an AI thing, whatever. It's not how it is. You know, it hurts me to see so many people, so many brothers and sisters out there. They're scared right now. They're scared because they're being threatened. But we've been threatened a lot. Entire lives, really. But these last 2 years have been ridiculously rough. And now we're being threatened with extermination by our own government. This is not who we are as a country. It shouldn't be. The Purge was just a movie. It shouldn't be reality. And whatever your ideas of God, religion, or morality may be, just ask yourself, do you really think that, people that are different from you are really out to get you? We're definitely not. We're just trying to live our lives. And, we want you to live yours as well, But when you see something that's wrong, you need to speak up. Stand up, speak up, do whatever you have to do. The Americans that raised me believed in the underdog, believed in people, believed in standing for what's right. The good American values. This idea of hate, purging, and forcing people to think a certain way, dress a certain way, act a certain way, only support one thing. If you really ain't bought into that, just bear in mind, you're being played, and you've been played pretty hard. If you look at the leadership and the way the people in North Korea live, and you think, hey, that might be a good thing. Donald Trump said it was a good thing for him, because it benefits him. It doesn't benefit anybody you. It would benefit me, definitely not. Then there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. This is who I was meant to be. And, we're not, again, I'm not asking for your approval. I'm not asking for your acceptance either, for that matter. But what I am asking you to do is just remember what you've seen. You don't see trans people getting together with big torches and scary drums and bullhorns and waving swastika flags or nooses or burning crosses or playing G.I. Joe on the weekend out in the forest with guns and beating their chests or having these little paintball wars, what have you. That's not us. But the man who has conned America, he wants you to believe that, and he thinks you should be afraid of me. I mean, look at me. I'm almost 60 years old, and I got a bad lung. And I like wearing pretty bows. That's because I didn't get to grow up with them. But hey, to each his own, right? Okay, America. Choice is yours. You want to be those sad Germans at the end of World War II, or you want to stand up for what's right? You want to tell us, just because you can quote a Bible verse or go into a house of worship doesn't give you a morality car wash, and it doesn't make you better. It doesn't. But knowing what's right and wrong and saying, hey, that's not right. That's not cool. Hurting people because of who they are. That's never right. That's like going after someone for the color of their skin. That's not right either. Or their ancestry, or because they can speak more than one language than you. I mean, that's just promoting mediocrity and bigotry and hatred. And I like to think most Americans are better than that, in spite of these times. So, again, it's up to you, America. Work it out. Until then, remember, young people could stop transgenocide. It's you.